Hey everybody, what's up? What's happening? What's going on? My name is Brian, and I'm a Cameraholic. Yeah, I'll admit that. In fact, if there were Cameraholic Anonymous clubs, I not only would join them, but I'd probably lead them. I've owned a lot of cameras in my day. Just to give you an idea, here's some right here that I've owned. Yeah, that one. Would you believe I had 3 of those? At my busiest, this is what my camera setup looked like. But I'm just not that busy anymore. So this year I wanted to find myself a camera that kind of could do it all. And I was on a budget of $1,000. And I was kind of hoping for a lot for $1,000. I knew I wanted 4K 60p. I knew I wanted a high frame rate and high def. I know I wanted 422 10-bit internal. And if you don't know what that means, just do some research here on YouTube. There's a lot of awesome videos explaining what 422 10-bit is. I really wanted dual card slots. And I really wanted a top deck display. And I needed that full rotating screen. I wanted a full-size HDMI because I'm in and out of that HDMI all the time. I didn't want a flimsy HDMI to break. And I really wanted in-body image stabilization because a lot of my lenses don't have lens stabilization. So guys, when I set out to find a brand new camera in 2023, I didn't think I'd be buying a 5-year-old camera. This is what I found. This is the Lumix G9. This came out in December 2017. And I think it still knocks the socks off anything in the $1,000 price range today. So if you have a budget of $1,000, this one does shoot 4K 60p with no crop. This one does do 180 frames per second high def. This one does have the top deck display that I like. It also has the dual card slot. The dual card slot's great because you can either continuously shoot when your card fills up, you just go to the next card. You can have it set to film your videos to one card and shoot your photos to another. So you keep your files separated. Or you could use one card as a backup to the first one. So if one fails, it's redundancy, right? It does have the full flip out screen. Basically, it had everything I wanted. It also has in-body image stabilization on top of digital stabilization on top of lens stabilization. You put those 3 together, it's unmatched. This thing still has one of the best stabilization systems in the market, especially at that $1,000 price range. So I'm going to show you some cameras that I was comparing to. Some that I've owned, some that I haven't. Not that they're bad cameras, they just weren't what I was looking for. So let's dive right into that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the G85 from Lumix. This is a camera I have owned before, and this is the reason that I was actually scared to get back into Lumix. Not that it's a bad camera, but it's not what I was looking for. I had it with the kit lens. Everybody knows that the micro four thirds sensors are harder to work with in low light. And then the kit lens was not a low light beast also. So you put those 2 together, it just wasn't what I was looking for. I know different price range, you can't even buy this camera anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that I've owned this before. I didn't like it. I was scared to get back into Lumix, but after owning the G9 for a couple months here, I'm no longer scared of those micro four thirds sensors. Let's take a look here at the Nikon Z30. This is a popular new model. It has an MPSE sensor, which is larger. It's the same 20 megapixels, but it's only 4K 30p, and it's only 1080p 120, which is good. But I do like having the 180 frames in the G9. It only records 420 8-bit in camera. It only has a single card slot, micro HDMI, which I felt was flimsy. It does have the rotating screen, but it doesn't have in-body image stabilization. There was just too many reasons not to get that camera for me. Next, I'm going to look at the Fujifilm X-E4. This is a cool looking little camera. I do like the retro dials on it. It's 26 megapixels, which beats my 20 megapixels, but it's only 4K 30p. And I do need that 4K 60. This one will do 240 frames per second in high def. Mine will only do 180, but that's okay. Again, it's only 420 8-bit internal. Not what I was looking for. If you want that 422 10-bit, you have to go through HDMI, and then you have to buy a whole external recorder. There's an extra $1,000 right there. It puts me right out of budget, which is why I like having that 422 10-bit internal. It does have the microphone input. It does not have image stabilization in the body. That's a big downfall for me because then you have to buy stabilized lenses, which are twice as much as just regular lenses. You know, then you got the Nikon Z50. This is actually a pretty good looking camera. I do like the way this camera looks. I do like the large grip. It's 20 megapixels like the G9, but again, it only shoots 4K 30p. Just too slow for me. It does do 240 frames per second over 1080, which is awesome. But again, only the single card slot, micro HDMI, which is too flimsy, and it doesn't have a full rotating screen. It's just 180-degree tilt. And again, no image stabilization in the body. That just killed it right there for me. You know, then we got the Sony a6400. This is a popular camera. I've owned a lot of Sonys. I love those Sony sensors. They have a good look to them. They produce a nice picture. This one here is the Sony 24 megapixel sensor, which is fabulous, but it only shoots 4K 30p, which was a draw for me. It'll do 422 8-bit and only through the HDMI. So again, you're buying a whole external recorder. The flip up screen I can live with. I prefer a fold out and tilt. But a big downside again too is only one card slot and no in-body image stabilization. I can't have that. The next camera I kind of want to take a look at, I do like the retro styling of this camera. I was actually looking at this one. It's a 26 megapixel sensor. So, you know, the quality is definitely there, but it only shoots 4K 30p and only 60p in 1080. And again, 422 10-bit only through the HDMI, which means another $1,000 recorder. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. Does have the microphone in. It does have a tilt-out screen, which is awesome. But again, no in-body image stabilization. Kind of killed it for me. This next camera, this one here is the EOS R10. Guys, I struggled with this one. I've owned a lot of Canon bodies. I like Canon. I love the color science. I like how they work. I was less scared of this one than I was of the G9. You know, it has the APS-C sensor, 24 megapixels, so bigger, brighter, better. It does shoot 4K 60p, but it crops the image. And that's where this camera started to fall apart for me. If it's going to crop the image on an APS-C sensor, I might as well just buy a micro Four Thirds sensor. It's doing the same thing. It has 1080p 120. The G9 is 180 frames per second. Not a big deal, but it is a difference. The internal recording is only 420 8-bit. And that's where it fell apart again for me a little bit. Single card slot, micro HDMI. It does have the rotating screen, but again, no in-body image stabilization. That right there killed it. I was done right there. But this was a close contender. You know, it's $100 cheaper. It is Canon. But yeah, no, that killed it for me. Not having that in-body image stabilization, I was done. Take a quick look at Fujifilm. I'm sorry guys, I can't review every camera in this price range, but just a few of the popular models. This here's the Fujifilm X-S10. Somebody had recommended I take a look at this one. It is 26 megapixels, APS-C, does 4K and DCI 4K, which is a little bit wider, but it only does it 30 frames per second. It does do 1080, 240 frames per second. This was actually a close contender too. But again, then I looked at the internal recording. It was 420 8-bit, and I did not like that at all. It does have the rotating screen, and it does have in-body image stabilization. So this was the closest contender right here. I do like the retro styling of it, but again, no top deck display, 420 8-bit internal, one card slot. Those things killed it for me. Anything past this, guys, you're going to blow past the budget. Like, there are really nice cameras from Nikon, the Z5 with a full frame sensor. I've owned full frame. I love full frame. But I'm doing more video work, and I don't find that full frame is a huge benefit for video, mostly for the photo world. You know, so you could look at this. It does have the dual card slots. You know, beautiful camera. You know, and then Panasonic, you know, S5, of course, full frame. It's got all the bells and whistles that my camera has, except for the top deck display. But I mean, this is a better camera. But I had a budget of $1,000. Guys, if you have a budget of $1,000, I really think you should consider the G9. You know, not only does it take fantastic slow motion video, which I'll throw up on the screen right here. Here's a couple samples of the 180 frame per second video. You know, it does a good job. And I don't use it a lot for photos, but it is a good photo taker. I'll throw up some pictures of my kids here that I took last summer. Right at the end of summer there. So when I got this camera, it was the first weekend out with it. And who says you can't get good bokeh or blurry backgrounds with a micro Four Thirds camera? I mean, these pictures are beautiful. So yeah, that's it right there. You know, bang for the buck in 2023. I think this is kind of the best camera at the $1,000 price range. If you agree, leave a comment below. If this video is helpful at all to you, consider liking, consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. And if you are considering this camera, I do have a link below to Amazon. Usually I get my Amazon orders in 3 days. So if you guys are chomping at the bit and you want a camera body, you know, check out that link below. And until next time, guys, I hope this helps you.